Hi everybody. In this video, we're going to review some problems to prepare for your SOL and end of the year test. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to do the first problem, and then the problem right after it is going to be really similar to the one that I just solved. The second problem is the one that you'll have to solve on your own, and then the question will pop up during the video through PlayPosit. You'll select your answer, and then we'll move on to the next topic. Please use Desmos if it is helpful to solve, just like I'm doing in the video. So let's get started. Number 1 says, which equation best represents the following? 5 less than the quotient of a number and 3 is 7. So the first thing I want to do is look for any symbol or any words that tell me the operations that are happening in the problem. Less than tells me that I'm going to be looking for some subtraction, and quotient tells me that I'm going to be looking for division. So now let's go through the pieces and make sure, oh, and is, if the statement is telling us that all of this is 7, it's telling us that everything over here is equal to 7. It is exactly 7. So there's my symbols that I'll see in my equation. Now the next thing I want to do is put together the numbers with the symbols, and I always want to make sure that I do this in the correct order. So if you remember from class, less than was a really important phrase because it signaled a turnaround was going to happen. And what do I mean when I say a turnaround? I mean, it says 5 less than the quotient, but we're going to write the quotient of a number and 3 first, and then we're going to write the minus 5 part after. The reason being is if I want to take 5 less than something, I'm taking 5 away from that amount. So I need to write the quotient of a number and 3 first and then subtract 5. So we're turning around these two parts of the statement. So the quotient of a number and 3, when it says a number, it's telling us that we don't know the value of that number. It's unknown, so we can use any variable. In this case, they used x. So the quotient of a number x and 3 would look like x divided by 3. And we have 5 less than the quotient of a number and 3. So we're going to take this quotient and we're going to subtract 5. We're taking 5 away from this amount. And this statement is telling us that all of this is equal to 7. So looking at our answer choices, the best choice here is A. But it's important that we look at the other ones because it's easy to pick one of those on accident because they've all got 3s, 5s, and 7s, and a lot of them have subtraction and division. So the order is going to be really important, and checking for the correct operations is going to be really important. So looking at choice B, this says 3x. Well, that means 3 times x, and there was no multiplication in this statement. Nothing said product, so I'm not going to be using choice B. Choice C has the 5 and the subtraction, and it's also got the division, but it's in the wrong order. They have 5 and then the subtraction symbol and then the quotient of the number in 3, but we want to take 5 away from this amount. So C is in the wrong order. It's written backwards. We need to take this piece and flip them around. And last but not least, D says 5 minus 3x equals 7. Well, again, 3x means 3 times x. And because there was no multiplication in this statement, I would not want to pick choice D. So now let's look at number 2, and you're going to solve this one on your own. Number 2 says, which of the following is the algebraic form for the verbal statement shown? So the statement is 5 less than a number is 14. So look at choices A, B, C, and D. Which one do you think best matches this statement in blue? Be careful, pay attention to those key words like in the last problem we did. So hopefully you chose answer C. N minus 5 equals 14. Number 3 says, What is the value of the expression below when a equals 5 and b equals 2? We're given this expression, a squared plus the absolute value of a times b. When they write the letters next to each other like this, we're going to multiply. So this is a squared plus the absolute value of a times b. So what is this question asking us to do? We're supposed to replace the letters with these numbers. So every time we see the letter A, we need to put a 5. And every time we see the letter B, we need to put a -2. And then we could use order of operations to solve. So this would look like 5 squared plus the absolute value of A times B would be 5 times -2. And then our absolute value symbol again. So we would use order of operations and follow PEMDAS or GEMDAS to solve, but we can also use Desmos as a shortcut. So what do? We type in the expression, and then we type in the value for A and the value for B, and Desmos is going to tell us what the value of the expression is. So I'm going to type A squared plus the absolute value, so find your absolute value button, and then type A times B. You can just write them next to each other and hit enter. And then we're going to tell Desmos that A equals 5 and B equals -2. After we do that, you can see that it tells us the value of the expression here is 35. So the best answer choice here is B. So now you're going to solve number 4 on your own. Let's take a look. Number 4 says, what is the value of 10y plus 2 times the absolute value of 3x plus 2 if x equals -2 and y equals 3? So one more time, you're going to take this expression, type it into Desmos, and then tell Desmos that x equals -2 and y equals 3. So hopefully you got the answer is positive 38. You should have typed it into Desmos just like you see on my screen here. Let's take a look at question number 5. Question number 5 says, what is the solution to this equation? -5 equals 5x plus 5. So this is asking us to solve for x. It's asking us what does x equal after we solve this two-step equation. I want to show you how to use Desmos to solve here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the side of the equation. So look at your equation. You can split it in half. Find the side of the equation that has the variable in it. And we are going to type that into Desmos. So I'm going to type 5x plus 5. And now what I'm going to do is type x equals, and I'm going to check each one of my answer choices by plugging it in here. And I'm looking for the value when I type it in for x that gives me -5. So when I type x equals here, I want -5 to come over up here, to pop up over here. And that'll tell me that I found the right answer. So let's go ahead and start with A, x equals 0. When x equals 0, 5x plus 5 equals 5, and we want it to equal -5. So A is not correct. Let's check B. Let's see what happens when x equals -1. So we type in x equals -1, and when we do that, 5x plus 5 equals 0, and we want to get -5. So the answer is not B. So we'll delete that out and we'll try C. C says x could be 1. So I type in 1, and I see that 5x plus 5 equals 10. And I wanted it to equal -5, so it's not C. So last but not least, we're going to check D, which is -2. And when I type in x equals -2, sure enough, I find out that 5x plus 5 equals -5. So choice D, -2, is the correct answer here. go ahead and solve number 6 on your own, and then type your answer on the screen or select the correct answer on the screen from the Play Pause It video. All right, welcome back. Hopefully, if you used Desmos, when you typed in this side of the equation where the variable was, and then you tell Desmos t equals, when you typed in your answer choices, you should have found out that negative 275 was the correct choice for t, because when we typed that in, we got our answer that we were looking for of negative 40. So the correct answer for 6 was A. Let's take a look at the next question. Question number 7 says, what is the solution to this inequality? 16 is greater than or equal to negative 3x plus 4. So this is a two-step inequality. And to solve for x, I'm going to have to do 2 steps. I'm going to have to undo 2 operations here to get x by itself. I move my answer choices down just to have a little more room to show my work. I'm separating the left and the right side of my inequality. And if you have, excuse me, sorry about that, little computer glitch. If you remember from class, you want to undo any addition or subtraction you see first. So I see plus 4 here, and I know that the opposite of addition is subtraction, so I'm going to subtract 4. And what I do on one side of my inequality, I'm going to do on the other side. 4 minus 4 is 0, so these cancel out, and I'm left with just negative 3x on this right side. My symbol stays the same because I haven't multiplied or divided by any negatives, so I don't need to flip it yet. And on the left side, I have this problem of 16 minus 4, and that equals 12. This is a two-step equation because I still need to do one more step to solve for x. X is still not by itself. It's got this negative 3 in front of it. Remember, when there's a number in front of x, that means we're multiplying. What is the opposite of multiplication? Hopefully you're thinking division. So we're going to divide on both sides to solve for x. So to get x by itself, we need to divide by everything in front. So we're going to divide by not just 3, but negative 3 on both sides. Negative 3 divided by negative 3, any number divided by itself is 1. So this becomes just 1x over here. So you did it. You got x by itself. But we have to be very careful because when we're working with inequalities, there's a special rule. If we multiply or divide by a negative, which we just did, we just divided by negative 3, we have to flip this symbol around. So this symbol was flipped this way, so now we're going to make it turn around so that it's facing the opposite way. And then our last step is to do 12 divided by negative 3. And this is where your Desmos could come in handy. If you wanted to use it to solve here, you can type in 12 divided by negative 3, and you get negative 4. So our final answer here is that negative 4 is less than or equal to x. Or if you read it this way, you could say x is greater than or equal to negative 4. So that's going to be choice D. So now that we did an inequality together, go ahead and solve number 8 on your own. What is the solution to this inequality? Negative 13 is less than negative 8x plus 27. Go ahead and pause the video and then type your answer into Play Pause It when you're ready. All right, welcome back. So your first step should have been to undo your addition with subtraction. So we subtract 27 on both sides. Positive 27 minus 27 is 0, so you're left with negative 8x. And negative 13 minus 27, oops, I should say negative 13 minus 27 is negative 40. Negative 8x means negative 8 times x. The opposite of multiplication is division, so we'll use division to get x by itself in step 2. We need to divide by everything in front of this x, so we're dividing by negative 8 on both sides. Negative 8 divided by itself is just 1, so we're just left with 1x, which is just x. anytime you multiply or divide by a negative, this symbol needs to get flipped around. So I'm turning it around so it's facing the opposite way. And negative 40 divided by negative 8 is your last step on that other side to solve. So negative 40 divided by negative 8 is positive 5 because a negative divided by a negative is always a positive. So your answer could be read as 5 is less than x, or if you read it this way, you would say x is greater than 5. So it could also be written like this, x is greater than 5. So you should have picked choice D. That's it for this video. Hope this was helpful. Have a great day.